For my session overview for this lecture notes on developmental psychology, I'll be looking at the behavior development and socialization, understanding cognitive, how our brain functions, how we also be looking at the personality development of the children or even we adults, and also our social development. For my session overview, I have a number here. We are going to be looking at the definition of behavior and behavior development, components of behavior, cognitive aspects of behavior, personality aspects of behavior, self-concept and self-knowledge, socialization and its agents, stages of behavioral development, and monitoring self and other behavior. Human nature at birth. When we talk about human nature at birth, we look at the theory of John Locke, which describes the mind at birth as tabula rasa, that is a blank slate. When you give birth to a child, the child is practically empty. That is, the child does not have anything in it. So whatever we call behavior is what me and you put into the child. So for John Locke, he described the mind as tabula rasa, and this is one of the most prominent theories of human development and of philosophy. He believes that infants initially rely on their biological instincts and reflexes. Here, when you give birth to a child, you don't teach a little baby how to suck breast. That one is just a biological instinct. You don't tell them how to close their eyes. You don't teach a baby how to poo. We call some things natural instincts or reflexes. They are things that naturally we're endowed with. So for the little ones, they are endowed with such as well. Also, survival depends on care and cooperation from others. Whatever you see that comes up out of a child is as a result of the people that the child depends on for care and cooperation in the child's environment. If you see a child that struggles to eat, that can eat, that some of us tend to call gluten or glutonic style of eating, it might be for the kind of people the child is being raised with. If you are raised in surplus, you might not actually be a glutton. If a child is raised in surplus, the child might not actually be greedy because you have enough. You want to have milk, you want to have candies, you want to have ice cream. All those things are available without any adult scolding you or fighting you to take them. So what is the role of the environment? For the caregivers, they are supposed to provide food, protection, and emotional care for the child. It is the responsibility of the carer of the adult to provide food for a child, to provide protection, and to provide emotional care. Fine, we claim that we all do that in this part of the world, but we have seen a lot of adults that cannot even provide for the little ones they are handling. Some in terms of protection, they are not there. Some in terms of emotional care, they are not there. They are the ones that still uses bad languages for those children, like Jamie, come and hit me. Do you want to turn me to food? Also, early interaction is shaped learning and survival. The way you have raised the child, let's say you have raised the child in love. When the child says, Mommy, I'm hungry, you say, oh, go take your food. And if you raise the child in a serious survival that when they are hungry, they have to steal from your pot, they have to lie, they have to steal money. It's all about you and the environment raising the child in your own way. Also, children gradually discover that the world includes themselves and others. At a point, they are egocentric. They believe that everything is just about them. And you see them use the word like my daddy, my mommy, my food, my this. It's all about them. They fail to understand that the world belongs to all of us. And many of us as adults, we still have this behavior, and they call a principle in the South African Ubuntu philosophy. Ubuntu means I'm here because others are here. So when you eat, you want your other brothers to eat. When you have the opportunity to serve, you are serving because you want your kinsmen to also be fine, not about you only. We now see some of our leaders that are still living in this level of where they see things for only themselves. Also, development occurs through interaction with the environment. A child cannot be raised in isolation. That means whether we like it or not, the child will still need the environment to thrive. Also, moving forward, early awareness and exploitation. Children begin to explore their surroundings quite early. If you look at babies, by the time they are about 3, 4 months, they recognize objects, people, and environmental stimuli. For objects, if you hold something, even your own finger, you see a baby trying to grab it, trying to hold you. That is just them getting aware of the environment. But for children that are not typical, that are having developmental disorders, they may not achieve some of these things we have mentioned easily. Sometimes when you see a child walk at the first birthday, you see them running around on their first birthday. Some of us as parents, we tend to take it for granted, like, oh, it's normal. But I tell you that fine, it's normal because you have it. Some children in age 10, they are still struggling to stand them. So that is when you will now know that the one you have gotten, it's a big time privilege, not because you really know how to do it better. Also, they learn similarities and differences between themselves and others. At a point, you see them learning about their environment, learning about some of the things, learning about some of the things around them. They now know that you are a boy, I am a girl. This is mommy, this is daddy. That means they're also learning about that. And this learning will continue until they get to adulthood. So the learning continues through childhood, adolescence, and adulthood. When we talk about behavioral development, we talk about different aspects, but when it comes to the behavioral development, we are more particular about the gradual change in behavior across life. When I say across life, it occurs through interaction between the individual and the environment. Sometimes it occurs simultaneously in 3 dimensions. That is the cognitive, the personality, and the social development. When we say cognitive here, we are talking about the intellectual functioning of the child, the brain processes, how well they can reason, abstract reasoning, logical reasoning, ability to read and write. All of these are loaded in this. Also, we have personality and social development. All of us are social animals. We are in this class today because not only because we want to have a degree, but it will also help us to develop socially. Some already have friends in this class within just 2, 3 weeks of lectures. Some already they are forming different kind of behavior. Some that wants to be more responsible. All of these can be seen at this stage of development. So for the learning outcomes, I believe that by the end of this learning, we should be able to define behavior development, identify the components of behavior, explain personality and self-concepts, then also describe the stages of behavioral development, and also explain monitoring of behavior. So what is behavior? Behavior is any observable or measurable response of an organism to a stimulus. That is, behavior is any observable or measurable response of an organism to a stimulus. That is, it must be measurable. It must be observable. That is why in psychology, we don't go to the spiritual realm. Like what we saw our dear sister evangelist Tonto DK did yesterday. Honestly, as a psychologist, I was just wondering what came over her. Why was she with a camera before the whole thing started? Was it scripted? In psychology, we deal with observable or measurable response. I'm not going to say there's nothing like there is no spirituality, but is it measurable? No. So anything we do in psychology, we try to ensure that it meets these two criteria of being observable and measurable. You can see it and you can measure it. If you cannot see it, if you cannot measure it, it's not psychology and it's not even behavior to us. Also, behavior includes actions, reactions, and responses. Actions like jumping, clapping, dancing, they are all forms of behaviors. Also, we have reactions. Reactions could be giving that bad eye like, that's the kind of reaction. Also, we have responses like hello, hi, good morning. They are also forms of behaviors. Behavior may also be overt or covert. Overt means that you can easily see it, it's observable. But it may be something that we may not see at a glance. But with some instrument and apparatus, we tend to see it. The brain wave is an covert one. I may be interested in studying how you sleep. This, if let's say you have complained to me that you don't sleep well, I may be interested in observing your brain waves. And this is a covert aspect of behavior, but machines can actually see how the waves are going to see why you don't sleep at that particular time of the day. Human behavior also includes activities and actions people perform at all times. So it is behavior because it is an activity, it is an action thing that people perform. So we can now use our verb to describe what behavior is. According to our English lesson, a verb is an action word. So dancing, excited, laughing, mimicking, all of these are types of behavior. So we talk about types of behavior. The first one is overt behavior. This is the observable actions such as speaking, walking. Let's go back to our verb lesson. And our verb, dancing, jumping, hopping, talking, sleeping, they are all forms of behaviors. Also, we now have the covert behaviors, which is the internal responses, such as thinking or feeling. If I hold you, you might have a kind of feeling. Let me say someone broke your heart over the weekend. The feeling is real. It may be a covert one, but we can feel it. And sometimes when you feel those covert things, we see the results overtly. Let me use another. Okay, let's still use the breakup thing. Let's say the man you have dated for 7 years just called you yesterday night. Like, babe, I think I'm going to be done with this relationship. It's like it's not working. It's like I want to move on with someone I love. No matter how strong you are, I can tell you that you will sweat, you may cry, you may palpitate, your breath may even cease. You might faint. So many things could happen covertly to you. So both types influences our interaction and our adaptation. If they have broken your heart yesterday, you might not be able to be part of this class this morning, not because you are not strong, but because there is an influence of that thing on your interaction. It might even affect your adaptation. Let's say you just enter a class and a man just look at you like, oh, Miss Kenny, you look so good today. You look so gorgeous. Can I take you out on a date? Honestly, you might insult the man. Like, you know, I won't start again. This one where I don't cook for 10 years, don't break my heart. You said won't take me go date. So that won't start. So that means your adaptation, your interaction with others might be influenced. So now you can see how covert and overt behavior can both influence our man interaction and our adaptation. So, going further to the definition of behavior development. Behavior development is the process by which humans acquire cognitive, personality, and social qualities. That is, behavior development is the process by which humans acquire cognitive, personality, and social qualities. Whatever you have achieved cognitively, they're a function of behavior development. I'm sure when you were age 5, if someone walk up to you and say, "Oh, uncle, I can kick the bucket," I'm sure that you might probably think as a 6-year-old, "Oh, he used his leg to kick a bucket." But at 25, you receive a message that, "Oh, Mr. Akin passed in his sleep." You will understand that. And why is it like that? Because cognitively, you have matured. At a point, age 6, you were struggling now to write 1, 2, 3. At this stage, you are not struggling to write that. You are now struggling to process more advanced things. When I say more advanced things, someone is telling you now, "Oh, there is a real estate deal for you in Bagada. The house is going for 120 million, and they have four buildings in that structure." So you are saying 480 million. How much is land in Bagada? Maybe purchase the land for 150. How much is it? You are already doing a bigger arithmetic, like, oh, 480 million for 4 units. That means this guy is going to make like 200 million, 100 million profit. Unlike when you were age 6, that they were teaching you how to add your numbers, your number 1 plus your number 2. So as we develop, our cognitive continue to develop. So also our personality. Most little children, they don't have their personality. They just flow with the tide. But as an adult, you know if you are truly an extrovert, you talk too much, you play too much. You will know if you are truly an introvert that does not even tolerate others. You just want to be in your small closet. But as a little child, all these personality things are not profound. Also, social qualities. As a young child, you don't talk about self-esteem, because what does a child need self-esteem for at that stage of development? But at a point, you know that self-esteem is key. You are now looking at the person like, "Oh, she has poor self-confidence. He cannot even address a class. He cannot even talk to his friend." Wait, imagine, you see that Mr. Akin, he's just big for nothing. He cannot even toast a girl. And you are like, "Eh? As big as he is." So that means social qualities, our social development also continues as we grow. Some of us, when we were in secondary school, some of the guys that were trying to toast us that time, because they were so ugly that we look at them like, "Just you this ugly brat, you want to toast me? Show me." We said all of that. Years after, 20 years after, meeting in alumni program, now you see them with their legs off. That means what you have used to define them in those ages and time is no longer obtainable at this point. Just use a chat to reply me if I'm still with you. Chat.
Yes, ma, you're with us, ma.
Okay, thank you.
That's fine. Yes, ma,
Okay.
you're with us, ma.
Okay, please mute yourself and let's go on with the class. So components of father. So other thing is that these qualities enables individual to act and respond in specific ways. When you are developed cognitively and your personality and your social qualities, you'll be able to know when to respond and what exactly to respond to. Also here we talk about whether development is continuous. There is a theory that says it is continuous, some says it's not continuous. But whichever way, development occurs throughout our life and it moves in a very continuous way. That is, you that some people have tagged Olodo some years back, You are now a professor today. That means you cannot use my early childhood to judge me. Some of us as ladies, we look so ugly at a point that some guys, instead of toasting us, they look at you like, she's not pretty. She's not my spec. But they see you 10 years later on your Instagram, on your TikTok page, and the guy is saying, man, it's fine, no. This babe has changed. That means development will continue throughout our life. What are the components of behavior development? We have the cognitive component, we have the personality, and we have the social development. These three components occur simultaneously, that is, they complement one another. Cognitively, let me look for another example. Cognitively, maybe when you were in primary one, you were so lazy and your teacher will have to flog you to write your letters. Maybe also when you were in that level, personality, you were always shy because they beat you at all times. And socially, you don't even talk to anyone. Seeing you 30 years later, I'm seeing someone that already has a PhD, that is now with a better personality, like, oh, hello, Aki. We went to the same primary school in Ebute Meta. That means personality, things have changed. Also, social development is now saying, oh, let's go and hang out, let's go and have a drink. That means you can see how these three are growing simultaneously in this person. So let's look at each of these separately. For cognitive development refers to growth in thinking and mental processes. As mental abilities develop, behaviors also changes. As our brain develops, our behavior will change. Maybe at a point, 5-year-old, 6-year-old, they beg you to wear your boxer as a boy. And you are running around your house like, I didn't want to wear anything, I'm fine. Behavior at that time, fine. We could say it is synonymous with that your act. But as mental abilities develop, you now know that no, you can't be going around with your pipe and allow neighbors to see it. That means your behavior about that thing has changed and now you are now covering. So can you see that behavior changes as the mental abilities changes? Also, cognitive growth influences how individuals interpret experiences. When you have not grown to a certain level, your interpretation also will be somewhat. Let me give you an example. At a point when you are, let's say, when you are still in year one in the university, I could remember myself fighting a roommate, thinking that university is a place all of us will be forever. And that point, if I see one, two people talk about me, I feel so bitter. I feel so somewhat like, hey, they are gossiping me. They are this, they are that. But now, God knows that when you gossip about me, the kind of ego you are adding to it for me, when you gossip about me now, I've gotten to a stage where it's now going to make sense. I'll just see myself like, oh, I'm now so important that so person needs to even talk about me. You can see my interpretation of the same phenomenon changing. In the past, when you gossip me, I feel bad about it, like, oh, you're talking about me that maybe I don't know what to do. I had a little network glitch. So that time, when you gossip about me, I might feel somehow like, oh, why are they talking about me? But now when you gossip about me and I even open the office and I add Hengbenu did this, oh, instead of me fighting, I just look at you like, Benue is that important. It's now the talk of the town. You can see how I interpret the experience is now different. At my first year of marriage, when I hear someone's husband cheated or did this or that, I join the person to like say, hey, how can your husband cheat? You will not shake in come. But almost 20 years in marriage, when you tell me your husband cheated, I might be asking you, do you have a valid evidence? Unlike that time, I was not asking for evidence. I would just join you to help you fight your husband. But now I won't do that. And if you tell me you are leaving your husband, I want to also interact with you. Oh, why are you leaving your husband? Can we talk about it? Is there a kind of physical abuse? If there's no physical abuse, are there other issues for us to work around? That means our cognitive growth, as it continues to expand, so also we interpret things differently. Also, we have Piaget. Piaget is one of the most prominent psychologists that worked on the area of cognitive development. And he emphasized the role of mental structures in learning. He used three basic concepts to drive the theory. And the first one is the schema, the second one is assimilation, and the third one is accommodation. These three concepts are mostly attributed to the Piaget's theory because they are profound to his contribution to the field of psychology. The first one, he called it a schema. A schema is an cognitive framework or mental structure. It helps individuals to organize and interpret information. That's this, it helps individuals organize and interpret information. Schema begin in simple forms during infancy and become more complex over the years. Some of us, our schema, like the previous example, it is now more complex that we can absorb so many things. Previously, when they tell you like, oh, this man is fighting, okay, let me look for another example. If they tell you like, oh, this boy cannot write beyond 5, at that stage, even you as an adult, your schema, when you were much younger, your schema is that you call him, maybe he's Olodo, he's a slow learner. But some of these people you have given that label to, they are driving Lexus 350 today. So you now see that it becomes more complex over time. So for the fact someone doesn't know certain things at a point does not mean the person will not still know it later. Also, we talk about assimilation. Assimilation occurs when new experiences fit into existing schemas. Let me say for the little children, all four-legged animals are dog to them. When they see four-legged animals, they tag them as dogs. But when they grow older, they now assimilate that even a table can have 4 legs, a cat can have 4 legs, lion can have 4 legs. They can now know that, oh, they can now assimilate more things. Now we talk about accommodation. Accommodation occurs when the schemas are now modified to incorporate new information. The first one is schema, you are taking it in. The second one is assimilation, you are bringing in new experiences to fit the old one. And the third one is now the accommodation, where you are now modifying to incorporate new information. At a point, some of us will say different things, like, oh, I can't live in a room and parlor. Ah, no, I can't marry a man that does not have a car. I could say that, in fact, when you were much younger at age 15, some of us, we drew the shape of the man we're going to marry. That he must have a broad shoulder, he must be tall, he must have a round head, he must have nice haircut. Today, you have married that man and the neck of the brother is bending. It's not fitting into your earlier definition of your schema. But for assimilation purpose, you now know that it's not about how straight the head is. It's not about the shape of this of the skull of the man. You now know you need beyond that. That means at this stage, you are now accommodating so many things. I've seen friends that brag that, oh, they can marry a man because he's not handsome. After visiting them after marriage, I'm now looking at the man they married, like, this one self no even find reach the one where they told you that time. But now they are now incorporating new information to now know that marrying a man is beyond what we drew initially and those characteristics we listed. So for the Piaget's theory, there are four stages to the theory. The first one is the sensory motor. I'm sure I mentioned this passively last week. For sensory motor, it occurs between the ages of point of birth to 2 years. Here, learning occurs through sensory experiences and motor activities. Also, children develop object permanence and coordination of movement. When we say object permanence here, for children, everything that is out of sight, they believe that is no longer available. That is why when you drop them in the crèche, and the moment you disappear, you hide. Under a minute, they move on. They believe that, Nyetilo, you are no longer coming. But when they see you later in the evening, they might laugh. But the moment you are off them, they move on. Some of us are adults. That is the way our brain works today. The man loves you. He now relocated to Germany. Within 3 months, because of object permanence, you are moving on to another person because you only believe in the people you see. That object permanence thing is still what is still dominant in your brain. Some, when they see your parents, they form nice. The moment the parents are not with you again, they treat you anyhow. So what happened? That means in terms of object permanence, their brain is not well developed. Go follow. So also at the sensorimotor stage, the child is using the senses. Senses is most predominant for the little ones. They try to use all the sense organs from the mouth to taste, from the ear to hear, and even to taste things, the eyes to see. You see, when you give birth to those little ones, all the sense organs are just trying to work together. And with this, you know that for these children, many of them are so for many of these children, all of these are so peculiar to them. Going further is the second stage, which you call the pre-operational stage. At this stage, this is between the ages of 2 to 8 years. They are mostly particular about symbolic thinking. Symbolic thinking develops such that they now find symbols for a lot of things. Children begin to use language and imagination. Also, thinking is intuitive and not fully logical. You see them, they put two clothes together and they say, this is daddy, this is mommy. You can see symbolic thinking. You see many of them involved in all this play. It's just symbolic for them. They might have two can, all these our pet bottles, they have two of it. By the time they put the two beside one another, they say, this is my plate, this is my cup. And they put little sand inside it and they are telling you that they are cooking rice. This is symbolic. And many people that miss that opportunity, that symbolic thinking, even as adults, you still see them putting things together because at that stage, they are not fully logical. And we have the third stage, which is the concrete operational stage. It's between the ages of 8 to 12. They are now developing logical thinking. They can classify and organize objects. Their reasoning remains tied to concrete situations. Here, they relate it to what they see. Like the example I told you that, Uncle Hakim kicked the buckets. Not for. At this stage, they are just developing the logical thinking. They might come back to you like, Mommy, what did you say happened to Uncle Hakim? Did Uncle Hakim buy buckets? No, because they are just developing their critical thinking, logical thinking skill. And the last one is the formal operational stage. This is when abstract thinking starts. Here they can reason logically and solve complex problems. Here knowledge can be transferred to new situations. And let's talk about early childhood development. This occurs between birth and about 6 years. Children develop language and basic cognitive skills. Here, egocentrism and magical thinking are more common, and the family does play the largest role in their socialization. Language, your child will learn it from home. How to play, they learn it from home. Also, the churches does their own part. That's another major agent of socialization. Teach them about the word of God. If you are a Muslim, you are taking them to mosques to pray. You are enrolling them in Quranic school, Arabic school, Ileke, so that you can socialize them properly. And also the elementary school years, children interact more with their peers and teachers. School expand their social world, and some begin to reconcile home and school expectations. At these early years, they interact more with their peers and teachers, and hence why they can challenge you with anything you do. But my teacher says, my auntie says no. I asked my friend, he says his own mommy will come. They will try to compare notes and see things. And school expand their social world such that they want to leave home. They want to have list of best friends. My baby boy will tell you like, oh, mommy, I like Kosiso. Kosiso is my wife. When will you help me to tell Kosiso's daddy that Kosiso should come over to my house? You see someone in age 7 telling me to help me tell a girl's dad. But these play are very innocent, and that's one thing I want us to understand. There was a day he told me, like, mommy, when Kosiso comes to our house, she will sleep in the guest room because there is wee wee in our room. That means, as a little boy, he understood that Kosiso as a girl cannot sleep in a dirty space. So, and you will see that they are so innocent. They are not adding sex to what you are adding sex to. For him to say, oh, Kosiso will sleep in the guest room means that there is no ulterior motive. Unlike you, if a girl is coming to your house, you are thinking of how to arrange your room because the girl must sleep in your room on your bed. So also they begin to reconcile home and school expectation. If the expectation of the home says you must be the first best in your class, the child will also try to work harder in school to ensure that at least there is a balance between the two groups. Also, adolescent stage. This is a period that Stanley Hall characterized as a stage of storm and stress. When we say storm and stress, adolescent stage is the most challenging stage of human development. Here you are struggling to be an adult, yet you are having a family or a parent that are dragging you backward to remain as a child. So they tend to face a kind of rapid physical and emotional change. The body is now more profound. The maturity is so obvious for the girl child. They have the big breasts, makes them feel like, oh, I'm a big girl. Mommy shouldn't talk to me like this. And mommy is seeing like, oh, you are still my little one. I can scold, I can slap. This maturity continues to develop and extend to their sexuality. You see that they are so curious in terms of dating experience, in terms of first time sex, in terms of having boyfriend, in terms of dressing. They are so preoccupied with their look, with their self-esteem, like the image. They want to see them going to school. That was the day I was just observing a secondary school not too far from my campus. And I saw boys in, maybe I'm sure they'll be in a senior class, with their trousers neatly ironed with what we call gaiters. And I saw them holding handkerchief, using it. I think maybe they were hanging it at that waist area, plus neat belts, and just realized that it is just about maturity. These same boys, years 2 years, 3, they jump around without having any sense of the need to be neat. And if you now see the girls too, their socks is so neat. Some of them will roll it, some of them will draw it up. And even when they go for inter-school programs, you now see the courage, like, oh, someone wants to toast me, I'm not giving him fees. The sexual maturity develops. And that is a signal to us that this child is already becoming an adult. Also, they try to seek identity and find independence. I could remember my 15-year-old son in the last maybe 4 or 5 years ago, whenever I return from school, he wants to sleep on my bed. If you tell him to go to his bed, he will not go. If you put that his big leg on me, else he can say, Mommy, I want to kiss you. All of that. But suddenly, in the last 1 year, I just started one accord that he moved all his things out of my room because all his outing clothes, he used to keep them in my room before. Now he has arranged his closet, all his shirts are now well ironed. He will now arrange his shoes. He'll be telling Mommy, I want to change this shoe rack. He doesn't take all my shoes again. So you see the place of maturation setting in. And he's now looking for independence. The same boy that used to jump on my bed. If you want to enter his room now, you knock, which is just courtesy, knock. And you still tell you, Mommy, hold on before you come. Like, what's it about you within how many days? Also, PR relationships becomes very important. They now spend time with their friends. You see them chatting and they are giggling, they are laughing, and you're like, how are you talking? Just on that moment, I'm just chatting with Lade, my friend. You see the emotion, you see the laughter, and you see that this child is really growing. Also, we have the early adulthood and middle adulthood. The age range is approximately 20 to 65 years. Individuals, I want to separate it for the purpose of this teaching. Individuals at early adulthood becomes economically and socially responsible. One of the tasks, let's say early adulthood in this class, is a 20 to 40. Early adulthood, 20 to 40. When I say 20 to 40 here, that means a number of us are in this category. And I think I saw statistics from the BLI Institute saying that majority of the students are loading more in this age category. So that means in this age, you are now becoming economically responsible. You are becoming socially responsible. Let's say at this age, you are 25. You want to come to a class like this, and you have to go and show your clothes to your mom. Okay, Mommy, is this clothes okay? I'm not saying it's abnormal. It's normal if it is one off. But if at 25, they must approve of what you wear before leaving the house, it shows that you are not developing. It shows that there is a problem maybe with your brain, with your perception, with your judgment, and they are helping you to check. You should just give your mom gist like, oh, mom, see, I wore a dress last Saturday. You didn't see me. You need to see how beautiful that clothes sits on me. That's good. But not that, Mommy, oh yeah, I'm doing video call. Help me to check these clothes. Can this skirt go with this blouse? Should I use beret? Mommy, okay, let me wear it. Let me talk it. Mommy, should I leave it like this? If that is the case at early adulthood, the person is not growing. Also, economically, we try to be careful economically here because whenever I'm teaching this course, I know that in this part of the world, 18 to 25, they are not fully adults. Let's not contest it. You claim you are an adult, yet you bully your parents to get food. I see even people in their 20s, 25, bullying their parents to get money. Shall we send the money? Shall you not send that money? I don't think you. And they will start saying all manner of things. And you see the parents begging them that you have to please take it easy. I'm working so hard to get the money. I will send it by the close of business today. That means you are not an adult. You're still a child. So being an adult means that economically, socially, you must be responsible for a lot of things. Also, you must focus on your career, family, and social responsibilities. Please, if you have another class to join, you can go on to join it. If you are just done, you can go on. I'm doing a recording of the class, so I won't pause. So if you think you have another class to attend immediately after my class or during this class, I think my time will lapse by 10:45. You can please excuse yourself and leave. I'm fine. So also when we talk about early adulthood, there must be focus on career, family, and social responsibilities. When you focus on this aspect of your life, it will also help you. When I say it will help you, it will help you focus, it will help you build your life in middle adulthood. Also, we'll talk about middle adulthood. We take that from age, let me say age 40 to 60. Because ideally in this part of the world, if you are 40, you are old. You are already midway. If you are 45 or 44, you are halfway of Obasanjo's age. The next question I want to ask you is, what have you done with your last 40 years? If you look at many of the birthday teams for most of the birthday parties you have seen or attended in the past, life can actually begin at 40. For me, I'm indifferent. You can actually start at 40. I follow the story of Mohabudu, Ebony Life. She started life, although she worked as a banker at a very early stage, but having completed that phase, she started moments with Mo. She moved on with having Ebony Studios. Today, we are talking about Ebony Cinemas at 60. So that means at 40, she probably redefined herself. I am 40 as well. I'm not sure whether I'm redefining or I'm continuing or I've wasted 40, but whichever, one can still reorder one step at 40. Because if you don't reorder your step and you don't have a meaningful life at 40, let's say you're having a meaningful life, it will make sense to do a big 40th birthday. Let's say as a woman, you're marking your 40th birthday, you have your kids, in fact, maybe let's say your first child is already in Babcock, you have another one in SS3, another one in SS1, you have your husband as one Odogu working in Chevron, you have traveled all over the world, you have a big business, or you yourself, you're already one MD in one organization. If you are doing your 40th birthday and you invite us to a hotel, it will make sense to us. We have seen what you are celebrating. We can see that you are celebrating milestones. But let me say, peradventure is the opposite. You do not have so much to show for 40. I don't think you will need a hotel for your party. It will rather be a solemn one for you where you say, oh, life begins at 40. 40 is the new 18, where you are now retracing your steps. And when your midlife is not very clear, I will join you to use the slang that we use. Everything will become blurry. If at 40, as a man, you don't have a job, you don't have education, you don't have a wife, you don't have family, you don't have a career you are building, you're economically not stable, you're socially not responsible, I tell you, everything may look blurry. As a woman at 40, so if as a woman at 40, I think I'm having issue with my screen. Okay. Just hold on, let me set up my slide. I think I'm having some technical issues here.
No problem, man.
Can you see my screen? I don't think you can.
We're only seeing you, nothing on the screen, man. It's only we are seeing.
Okay. That means it's not sharing. I don't know what.
Ma, we have